Loyalty, deception, honor, and betrayal. The game begins anew when the epic series Game of Thrones returns. Just one part of your free preview of HBO Max. You'll experience all the must-see originals and the biggest Hollywood movies you won't want to miss. Watch it all anytime. There's nothing else like it. Don't miss a free preview of HBO Max Friday, March 29th until Monday, April 1st. Sign up for HBO and Max and get your first month free. Call 601-8992 or visit cablebahamas.com to subscribe today.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, the Prince Hepburn trial heats up. 18 months since the death of young Marco Archer, but still no Marco's Law. We'll tell you why. Dangerous drugs and high-powered weapons discovered near an urban renewal office, plus a 12-year-old girl is the new spelling bee champion. We've got those stories and so much more. I'm Bonnie Toot, and NB12 starts right now. Topping news tonight, new details emerging in the Prince Hepburn trial, which entered its second week today. Hepburn is on trial for the grisly murder of Nellie Mae Brown Cox. 4 prosecution witnesses took the stand today, including the doctor who treated Hepburn for attempted suicide and the psychiatrist who visited him at Her Majesty's prison. Royston Jones reports.
Among those taking the stand today was Dr. Diedrich Bowe, who saw Prince Hepburn when he came to the hospital in early April 2011. Bowe told the court that Hepburn told him he had just killed his girlfriend, Nellie Mae Brown Cox, whom he dated for 5 years after finding out she was seeing someone else who lived in the United States. According to Bowe, Hepburn said 2 weeks before his suicide attempt, he had followed Brown Cox and confirmed he cheated on him, and when he asked her to come clean, she denied it. Police found Nellie Mae Brown's body on the kitchen floor of an apartment at Bougainville Boulevard, South Beach, on April 7, 2011. She had been hacked with a cutlass. Bowe testified that Hepburn told him on the day in question he and the victim were watching TV, and then she said something that infuriated him. That's when he got the cutlass and chopped her. Dr. Bowe said he asked Hepburn how he knew he killed her, and he replied, "The amount of chops she got, nobody could have survived." Hepburn's attorney, Murray O'Decille, questioned why this information was not contained in Bowe's original report. Bowe said because it had nothing to do with what Hepburn was referred to him for. After the prosecution rested its case, Prince Hepburn chose not to take the stand in his own defense. O'Decille called his first witness, psychiatrist Dr. Michael Neville, who saw Hepburn for 2 sessions at Fox Hill Prison. Neville testified that Hepburn told him he discovered Nellie was cheating and he could think of nothing but suicide and felt worthless and useless. He told Neville he bought a cutlass even though he already had one, and the day of the killing he became more depressed and felt his only option was for both he and Brown Cox to die. Neville said Hepburn had a depressive illness and his thinking was irrational, and this diminished his responsibility. Hepburn told Neville that on the day of the killing, when Brown Cox came home, she started to exercise and watch TV. He said he asked Neville about the cheating and she made light of it. That's when he told Neville he flew into a rage and chopped her. Hepburn said he then drank bleach, took pills, and chopped himself. On cross-examination of Neville, the prosecution asked if the suicide attempt and Hepburn cutting himself was an attempt to get away with murder. Neville said it was possible, but was not his opinion, and he admitted in cross that his account is based only on what Hepburn told him. The case continues tomorrow at 11 a.m. Reporting for NB12, I'm Royston Jones.
In other court news, a forensic toxicologist, a veteran policeman, and a rookie officer all took the stand today during the coroner's inquest into the death of Aaron Roll. Jasmine Barnaby has the latest.
It was day 4 in court for the 2 officers at the center of the Aaron Roll death inquest, a 20-year-old man who died while in police custody early last month. First to take the witness stand was Corporal Cyprian Colley, a forensic toxicologist who has been on the force for the past 9 years. Colley testified that neither drugs nor alcohol played a role in Aaron Roll's death. Colley says he tested eye fluids, urine, and blood samples submitted to the forensic unit on March 7th, but he also testified that there were traces of marijuana in his urine. Colley couldn't say how much or when it was ingested, or if Roll was under the influence of drugs during his arrest. Roll reportedly died of blunt force trauma while detained at the Southern Police Station on February 9th. His death certificate notes that he suffered a ruptured intestine and internal bleeding. Last week, the two officers at the center of the case, Constable 2648 Carl Smith and Constable 2126 Akil Smith, both admitted that force was used to restrain Roll, who they say tried to escape from the inquiry room on the second floor of the Southern Police Station. Two officers who interacted with Roll hours after the incident testified in court today that Roll appeared to be fine even minutes before he died. Constable Deandra McClure, who had only been on the force for 3 months before the incident, testified that while she was working the 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. shift, she spoke twice with Roll, the second time around 7 a.m. when she says he asked for water and to make a phone call. 8 minutes after delivering the water and denying the request to make a call, McClure testified that Roll's cellmate called after he noticed Roll was unresponsive. Sergeant Robert McKenzie testified that he, along with McClure, went to help Roll, who was laying on the ground. McKenzie said while they both administered CPR, Roll gasped twice as he performed chest compressions on the 20-year-old suspect. McKenzie admitted on the stand that this was his first time administering CPR in his 25 years on the force, and added that he was being directed through the procedure while on the phone with an officer in the police control room. The inquest will resume Tuesday morning. Sergeant Lennox Colby and Wellington Orlander represent Constable 2648 Smith and Constable 2126 Smith. Christina Galanos is representing Roll's immediate family. Acting Coroner Janine Bish Gomez is hearing the case. Reporting for MD12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
Meantime, the inquest into another police custody death has been postponed. The coroner's inquest into the death of Jamie Smith, who died while in custody at the Central Detective Unit, had initially been set for March 28th, but is expected to be pushed back. This as new details have emerged about the circumstances surrounding the 35-year-old's death. An autopsy report revealed that Smith, who died of lack of oxygen, suffered a neck injury. According to the report provided by Smith's family, pathologist Dr. Karen Sands found evidence of neck compression. Dr. Sands noted that Smith's body showed signs of consistent pressure applied to the neck, resulting in bleeding into the muscles and hemorrhaging in the eyes and throat. The report also revealed there were abrasions on Smith's face, lower abdomen, wrists, and ankles, which were recent and occurred either on or near the time of his death. Following the 2011 death of 11-year-old Marco Archer, then opposition member of Parliament Dr. Bernard Nottage expressed outrage and called for the establishment of Marco's Law. Well, a year and a half later, Nottage, who is now National Security Minister, insists he hasn't forgotten about his pledge. His comments came after the opening of a child protection workshop. Christina McNeil has that story.
As the Ministries of Social Services and National Security get to launch Child Protection Month, Minister of National Security Dr. Bernard Nottage has renewed his pledge to pursue Marco's Law, a law that will protect victims of sexual offenses.
Shortly after Marco's death in September 2011, then an opposition member of Parliament, Dr. Nottage, called for a sex offender registry and special alerts for missing children. He also advocated for Marco's Law, which is expected to create stiffer penalties for child molesters. Nottage initially said the law could be brought to Parliament within 12 months. However, 18 months after Marco's death, the law has yet to be tabled in Parliament. Today, Nottage told MB12 that while the law is being drafted, he has held off from introducing it. He explains why.
I've done a lot of research on it. I've gotten a lot of advice from justices, from family court lawyers, and from persons who have looked at these sexual offences, both against children and adults. The reason that I haven't proceeded with the matter thus far is, as I explained earlier, Marco Archer's case is a case which is before the Supreme Court. We didn't want to interfere with the case itself. And so as soon as the case is completed, then it is my intention to raise the matter. I've had people working on drafting a law, and once the court case is completed, then I intend to proceed with it.
The man accused of Marco's murder, Kofi Goodman, also known as Elvardo Ferguson, is set to be tried for the murder on April 8th before Justice Bernard Turner. He will be tried for the sexual assault of a 12-year-old boy in 2014. Nottage was one of the stakeholders in the fight against child abuse who gathered for a training seminar for social workers and guidance counselors this morning, just days before the launch of Child Protection Month.
Social Services Minister Melanie Griffin says child abuse figures are still too high in the Bahamas.
In 2011, the number of cases, including neglect, physical abuse, sexual abuse, incest, emotional abuse, and abandonment totaled 636. In 2012, they totaled 663. Far too many for an island paradise, especially when we note that reported cases are considered to be just 1/3 of what is actually happening.
Today's seminar was designed to train social workers, guidance counselors, and urban renewal workers on the Convention of Rights of a Child so they can pass the knowledge on to students and children in a context they can relate to. The Convention on the Rights of a Child include the right to survival, to develop to their fullest potential, protection from harmful influences, abuse, and exploitation, and to participate fully in family, cultural, and social life. However, Nottage says there is still a lot of work to be done.
The young people, many of them in our community, are involved in criminal activity. When I go to school or a group of young people, I always ask them, how many of y'all ever see a gun? And all of a sudden, hands go up. And when they realize what I asked them, they pull the hand back down. But when you have 8 and 9-year-olds exposed to guns in their homes, we have a problem. Their rights are being violated.
This is the second in a series of I Gotta Write workshops. The Child Protection Council hopes to reach about 3,000 students throughout New Providence and the Family Islands. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
Police have discovered a quantity of dangerous drugs and weapons near the Urban Renewal Office in Anglerston. Officer in charge of Urban Renewal 2.0, Superintendent Stephen Dean, confirmed to NB12 today that officers arrested a 31-year-old man after they found several packages of suspected cocaine, marijuana, and high-powered weapons in his possession. Officers arrested the man at around 5:30 Sunday afternoon after executing a search warrant on his Moore Avenue home, which is near the Urban Renewal Office. The recent discovery has sparked criticism from opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis, who once again questioned the effectiveness of the controversial program.
They discovered an vast amounts of drugs, marijuana and cocaine, including guns. That's next door to the Urban Renewal Center in Anglerston. Right next door. And you're saying you have the solutions, urban renewal is solution, but I want to see the facts. I want to see the analytical report that was done to compare and show convincingly that there was a decrease.
Just last week, Nottage revealed in Parliament that crime has decreased by 28% in communities that have urban renewal offices. Dr. Minnis says he'd like to know how Nottage came up with that figure, insisting that many Bahamians, including residents of inner-city communities, still don't feel safe.
The PLP politicized the whole issue of crime. They said we could not be trusted. We did not have the solution. They had the solution. They convinced the people they had the solution. Now, they want to depoliticize it and say it's a people's problem. I agree it's a people's problem, and the people needs to resolve the issue. The opposition, the government, the church, because in the long run, only us, the people, will suffer, and you must save the country. The PLP can't do it. They promised us that they had the solution.